They give you cake?
Oh, man.
Oh, shoot. Oh, that just puts it all in perspective right there.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure. So, council? Yeah.
I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Thursday, April 25th, 2019 Board of Education regular meeting, reorganization of the school board for the Lincoln Way Community High School District 210. Please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Janice Doyle. Mr. Janik.
Here.
Mrs. Glass.
Here.
Mr. Costick.
Here.
Mr. Luchetti.
Here.
Mr. Lulo.
Here.
Mr. Kirkland.
Here. Thank you, Linda. First item will be our reorganization, and we'll have recognition of outgoing members. Dr. Tingley.
First thing I'd like to do is recognize both Christine Glatz and Ron Lulo for their time and dedication to Lincoln Way District 210. Christine, we won't say exactly how many years, but you began your term on the board in 1993. So significant amount of time and dedication, and a number of students graduated during the time. Some remember sitting at the board this evening.
Two of the board members were in high school when I came up.
They can't thank you enough for your guidance and leadership during this time. And Ron, 4 years on the board, several other years sitting in the back of the boardroom with us. We really have appreciated your perspective and your guidance as well during this time. Interesting 4 years. But once again, thank you for your dedication. We have a small token of appreciation for each. Just to kind of remember the time you spent with Lincoln Way. Thank you, congratulations. If you'd like to share anything.
Thank you.
Give her a mic.
Thanks. I would just say it has been an absolute honor to sit at this table with so many wonderful board members over the course of the years. Some unfortunately are gone from this earth that I've gotten lifelong friends. I have two in the audience here we drove to join me tonight, and it's those relationships that I've formed over the years with board members, faculty, administrators. This district is all about our kids. At the end of the day, it's about our kids, and nothing has changed in 25 years. We've got great kids, and we have a great community, and I know the future board will continue those traditions of student excellence, academic achievement, and I wish everybody all the best. Thank you for the opportunity. It's certainly been my privilege and my honor. Thank you.
First off, thank you all, thank the community for allowing me to serve, and for Dr. Tingley putting this team together for the board, voting with their head and not with their hearts at times. It's a business decision. It is for the kids, it is for the community, but we all have a job to do, sometimes thankless, but I'm glad we all did what we did and hold my head high. To the new board members, congratulations guys, and please continue to do the same. Thank you.
Very briefly, I say on behalf of, I think because Peter all was up here, I know, at least for Joe and I, it's been a fascinating 3 years. Having both of you be there, your guidance and your perspective will absolutely be missed. And so you guys have done things that people will never know in a positive manner, and I think someday everyone will look back and appreciate everything both of you were able to do, both in your 10 years on the board, so thank you very much.
Somebody come down for public comment.
I'm looking forward to it, right? That'll be scheduled for you there. All right. Our next item will be a report of canvass and election results. Secretary Jane.
Yes, I have in front of me, April 25th, 2019, a report of canvass and election results for the Lincoln Way Community High School board member full term. Hugh Butch McCorkle received 3,717 votes. Richard C. Lacine Jr. received 3,849 votes. William J. Garrett received 3,671 votes. Beth Janice Doyle received 5,833 votes. Peter J. Wilkes received 5,241 votes. And Joseph Kirking received 5,104 votes. The Will County Clerk has certified that Beth Janice Doyle, Joseph Kirking, Richard Lacine Jr., and Peter J. Wilkes have been elected to the Lincoln Way Community High School District 210 Board of Education for a full term. I motion that the board accept the report of canvass and election results as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
With that, I will welcome the newly elected board members to the table, please.
With that, I would ask Mr. Kirking, Mr. Lacine, and Mr. Wilkes to stand, and Judge Vaughn, if you would do the honors.
With the permission of the board president, if I could have the three incoming board members or elected board members, they can stand here, and if it's acceptable to the group, if we could have their families come up too. Because they lost them for 6 months during the campaign, and they're going to lose them for another 4 years.
Make sure you pick the right family member.
All right, will the board member elected please raise your right hand. And first, if you would repeat after me. I, please state your name.
I, Joseph Kirking,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of member of the Board of Education
of member of the Board of Education
of Lincoln Way Community High School District 210
of Lincoln Way Community High School District 210
in accordance
in accordance
with the Constitution of the United States,
with the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the laws of the State of Illinois,
and the laws of the State of Illinois,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Now here comes the hard part. There are 10 questions I'm going to be asking you, and these folks in the audience and your fellow residents are going to hold you to these promises over the next 4 years. Do each of you swear that you will respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets?
I will.
Will you encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by your fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while respecting the privacy of students and employees?
I will.
Will you recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting?
I will.
And will you abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels?
I will.
And as part of the Board of Education, will you accept the responsibility for your role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district?
I will.
And will you foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Lincoln Way Community High School District 210?
I will.
And will you assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to obtain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework?
I will.
Will you strive to ensure a continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law?
I will.
Will you serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students and our community schools to advance the vision for Lincoln Way Community High School District 210?
I will.
And finally, will you strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development?
I will.
Board Member Kirking, Lacine, and Wilkes, congratulations.
Thank you, Judge.
Kirking, Mr. Lacine, and Mr. Wilks are officially seated to their terms.
Thank you, Mr. Kosnick. The next order of business is to select a president. Do I have a nomination? Since I will do this, I would like to nominate Mr. Kosnick as the next board president of the Lincoln Way High School District Board of Education. Is there a second to my nomination?
So moved.
Okay. Any other nominations? Hearing none, I move that the nominations be closed. All in favor of Joe Kosnick as president, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? If not, congratulations, Joseph.
Thank you.
Gavel is yours, my friend. Slide down.
All right, the next order of business is to nominate a vice president. Do I have a nomination for the seat of vice president? I'd like to nominate Aaron Janik as the next vice president of the Board of Education. Are there any nominations? Any other nominations? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Janik. Finally, do I have a nomination for secretary?
I would move that Beth Janslow be named secretary.
I take a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Excellent. Well, congratulations to Beth, who's somewhere in Paris enjoying herself right now. Okay. The next order of business is to establish the compensation for secretary. Do I have a motion that the position of secretary remain a non-compensated position?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Excellent. Adoption of board policies and parent-student handbook. May I have a motion to approve the adoption of the board policies and parent-student handbook?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
A motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. All right, committee appointments, the most fun. We have 5 to do this evening. And the first is the District 843 Governing Board. Very important position. And, Ron did an excellent job in his time on that board. With that, do I have a nomination for the appointment to the 843 Governing Board?
I would nominate Mr. Wilks.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. District 210 Advisory Committee. Beth Janistola has done a wonderful job in that position. I believe she would like to continue in that committee. Do I have a nomination for the District 210 Advisory Committee?
I nominate Bob to continue as on the advisory committee.
I have a motion, I have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Foundation Liaison. This is the liaison to the Lincoln Way Foundation for Academic Excellence. I really enjoyed my time on that position, but at present it's time for me to move on and give somebody else that honor. So with that, I entertain a nomination for the Foundation Liaison.
I nominate Eric and Janet to act as liaison.
We have a nomination, I have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a nomination and a second. Any discussion? Everyone in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Excellent, that passes. IASB, Three Rivers Board Representative. Another very important position to help and keep us updated on current policies that's being proposed out in Springfield and how other school boards feel about them. With that, do I have a nomination for the IASB Three Rivers Board Representative?
I nominate Richard Steen.
I have a nomination, do I have a second?
Second.
The nomination is second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes. And last but not least, we have the IASB Board Delegates. The Illinois Association of School Boards. Do I have a nomination to fill the position of the IASB Board Delegate for the next term? With that, I would nominate Joe Kirking as the IASB Board Delegate.
I'll second.
Second. Any nominations? Excellent. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Excellent. All right. Student council presidents. All right, so who wants to go first this evening? My glasses on.
Yeah, Carolyn is subbing for East.
She's saying, all right, well, Carolyn, since you're the sub night, we're gonna put you on the hot seat. How about that?
So as was stated previously, I'm subbing for Maddie. She's currently during the conference for badminton. Things at Lincoln East are in full swing as we are halfway through fourth quarter. Students are continuing to prepare for the end of the year finals and starting AP preparations. Seniors are making their final decisions about college and their future career plans while the May 1st deadline quickly approaches. In student council last week, we hosted our annual teacher appreciation night, our framing dinner. All 15 students on exec board selected one teacher to be honored at the dinner. Students then gave a speech to show their appreciation and the impact the teacher has had on their life. Last week, we held student council elections for representatives for the 2019-20 school year. Now newly elected members are diligently preparing for exec board elections to take place over the next 2 weeks. In athletics, our spring sports are off to a strong start. The baseball team is having a great year with a 17-3 record. Last week, the team defeated the number 3 seed in the state twice. The boys volleyball team is preparing to host a big tournament this weekend. Boys and girls track and field, as well as softball and badminton, are off to a great start. We are very thrilled to hear that one of our own district's teacher, Mr. Gast, won the award for $38,000 in the welding equipment. This money will be a great asset to our school. Griffins are getting excited for prom, the Title I Enchanted Evening, that will be held on May 3rd at Denoples and Homer Glen. Ticket sales are very successful and we are expecting another great turnout. Next Wednesday, during all lunch hours, students will celebrate the accumulation of World Music Wednesday with samples of different food from around the world. May 12th and the 14th, the Lincoln Way Music program put on a production of Mamma Mia. Over 50 students participated, and the Friday and Saturday shows sold out, and all shows were very successful. We're excited to see how the rest of the year turns out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, well, I'm going to go with Kaylee next. Like Central Bowl last year on home turf.
Good evening. At West, we recently had our own spring musical, The Little Mermaid. We had a great turnout with almost selling out all of our shows, including Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We had various students who went to the musical and said that it was one of the best ones yet. We're looking forward to what our musical program has in the future. Then with spring sports, we're off to a strong start with our boys volleyball team beating Marist a couple weeks ago, becoming second in state, currently ranked, and as well as our badminton team is off to a strong start at conference right now with sweeping doubles yesterday for conference. Then our prom is next week with our theme as a night in Paris. We also have social on Thursday that we are hosting for the first time off campus and are expecting a great turnout for both. Lastly, with our student council, we recently did a donation drive with Gigi's Playhouse. Gigi's Playhouse is a donation center for Down syndrome adults, children, and teens, where they teach them life skills about how to obtain a job and live in the real world on their own, and it's all free. So we participated by donating snacks to them that they would have to give to the patients during different activities and during their classes there, so that they are able to still learn for free and eat for free while they're there to obtain on their own. All in all, Wes has been doing very steady right now, and we have been having a great spring. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Hannah.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome our new board members. We should all be so proud. This past Tuesday, our boys volleyball team recognized Best Buddies at their home game against Lockport, where the buddies were given special t-shirts that were donated by the team themselves, and we wore them to the game and were able to cheer on our nights. In the middle of the game during halftime, we played our own mini volleyball game on the court, which was a very special moment just to have the buddies out there and our very own varsity and junior varsity players on the sidelines cheering for us. It was a great turnout and a lot of fun for everyone. Class elections for next year were taking place today, where students were able to vote during their lunch hours for representatives in their class. And as we approach the final weeks of the year, the entire school is busy wrapping up material and preparing for finals and AP tests specifically. Our teachers have gone above and beyond in every AP class, offering review sessions before and after school and practice tests on the weekends. It is moments like these where we appreciate our teachers exceedingly, and it's perfect timing because Teacher Appreciation Week is right around the corner. Student Council will be showing our appreciation for our teachers on behalf of the whole school throughout the week of May 6th by having special activities throughout the week, such as a snack bar and a spinning wheel where teachers can win teacher prizes such as expo markers, tape, t-shirts, and other fun materials. This will be our first year also formally celebrating our Nurse Appreciation Day, where we will recognize our nurse, Mrs. Drumheller. As we approach the end of the year, juniors and seniors are looking forward to the last big event, which is social and prom. Our prom theme this year is A Night in Paradise, and we can't wait for all of these upcoming events that will be here before we know it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Next item on the agenda is public comments. We have one person signed up, Anna Letsos. Is that correct?
Would you like me to speak at the podium?
Please.
Thank you. I came this evening because I know on our agenda we've got rental rates, a new rental rate agreement that's being proposed. And as a representative of one of the two competitive swim teams in our district that use the facilities at the schools, we would like to respectfully request that we table the increase for the aquatic center until we can have further discussion. We have asked for 8 weeks to get a preview of what was coming and to understand what the rates would be and what the processes for billing and invoicing would be. And so we were not made privy to this information until it was posted on the website. So we would like to table it and have further discussion and partnership, because the increases are anywhere from 33% to 86% on some of the rates. So I'm not sure if folks are aware of that. So that's really my request this evening. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
It'll be discussed as an action item later on this evening, but thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, next, I forgot a minute ago, at this point I need a nominated secretary pro temp before we go on with the meeting. You can just appoint. I appoint Mr. Kirk. I'm going to give you one more day up here at the officers' table here, my friend, if you wouldn't mind. All right, so, moving on. Moving on to awards, presentations, and/or recognitions. Curriculum and instruction update. Dr. Fury.
Well, good evening and welcome. This will fire up in just a moment. In the meantime, the presentation is also at your place in your board documents. So tonight's curriculum and instruction update focuses on Board Goal 2, which is to enhance curriculum with innovative instruction, assessment, and the infusion of social emotional learning standards. The specific objective for tonight is to provide professional development morning sessions and lunch and learn professional development for our teachers focusing on innovative instruction and assessment practices. So we began by assessing the interests and needs of our teachers at the end of last school year through an online survey. We then used the results to begin to plan our professional development program for this school year. We also researched and have been researching for some time now in order to stay current, evidence-based best practices, which led us to one particular resource, John Hattie's Visible Learning, which is a synthesis and analysis of over 800 studies about what works best in the classroom to increase and improve student achievement. His study that shows that visible learning and feedback, both strategies where kids can actually see and are informed of their learning progress, as well as metacognition strategies such as social emotional learning, all affect student achievement the most. So with both our teacher survey and our research in mind, we then went on to organize and present a variety of instructional, assessment, as well as social emotional best practices and strategies in both our morning professional development sessions and our lunch and learns. As you will see in the next few slides, each building, led by our associate principals of curriculum and instructional technologists, addressed their instruction and assessment morning sessions a little differently, while I presented the lunch and learns with a social emotional focus across the district. So for our very last step of our objective, we further involved our associate principals for curriculum and also our department chairs, who then observed classrooms and teachers who implement these best practices, offering feedback and ideas for further growth. And that is goal number 2 update. Any questions?
You guys are continuing to do a great job in meeting these goals, and great job. It's wonderful to see. You're still progressing. The academics are as excellent as ever and continuing to get better. So.
And for the second part of our update, this evening, it is my sincere pleasure to introduce to you 3 very integral people in our district. Our asset and activities coordinators have a direct impact on student academic and social growth every single day. Here tonight to share with you their year-end report are Heather Novak from West, Jamie Pearson from East, and leading us off tonight is Dustin Waddell from Central. Switch our presentation real quick.
That's okay.
You have it in front of you.
You have it in front of you, so I'll keep going. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come in and talk about the asset activities and our role in the community involvement. One of our big goals, as stated earlier, was the social emotional growth of each student. Through the asset program, we achieve these goals by going in for presentations, and we try to hit specific topics such as self and social awareness, self-management, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. Our presentations range from different variety of learning styles. We do peer helpers that come in and help with presentations. We do interactive groups, or we do discussion-based presentations. Each of these presentations is meant to just reinforce that learning, social emotional learning standard. In addition, we also are fortunate to partner with different departments such as PBS, social services, music, and health, and we use these departments to help us reinforce these learning objectives with students of different variety of learning, interests and needs. We occasionally share personal stories throughout our lives to show how the assets can actually affect people, and it gets the students engaged in what we're trying to accomplish. And we found that sharing a little bit of our own personal life really does reinforce that social emotional learning. We're very proud of the work that we're doing with the asset right now and the goals that we're achieving in social emotional learning. But that's not all. We're also going to talk about our role in student involvement, and Heather's going to go from there.
Our role starts by contacting and welcoming the incoming freshmen prior to their high school experience. We organize our freshman orientations and begin helping our freshmen make connections to their school as soon as they enter our doors. We take pride in making positive connections with our students by building relationships early on in their high school experience. Another aspect of our position is to be a liaison for student involvement. We are contacted by counselors, teachers, administrators, coaches, and various staff members who reach out to us to meet individually with students. We meet with those students one-on-one, listen to their interests, and help find a way for the student to be connected at school. Lincoln Way District 210 provides a variety of clubs and activities. In addition to the competitive activities and sports offered at each building, we also have a number of open membership clubs available throughout the school year. Open membership clubs are ever evolving and encompass the many interests of our students that range from student council to art club, gamers club to environmental action club. Finally, we plan various events and activities throughout the school year, which allows our students to have a sense of school pride. From the many homecoming events to all school social emotional initiatives, there are a number of experiences provided to our students to maximize social growth. There is no doubt a highlight of our position is to see the opportunities provided to our students and the positive impacts they have on each other, our schools, and the Lincoln Way community.
During the school year, Heather mentioned that we plan events that allow students to have a sense of school pride. But one of the best highlights of our job is seeing how students take interest in reaching out to the community through service projects and charitable contributions. Student involvement includes a variety of charity drives or events that are held on or off campus. Some of our most memorable work has been with Pennies for Patients, Pediatric Oncology Treasure Chest, and our local food pantries. At your place, you will see this handout showing the different organizations at the very top of your sheet. A lot of these different organizations that our students have worked with are throughout the Chicagoland area, and a great number of these donations directly affected our local community members. Some of our proud moments included our Pennies for Patients and St. Baldrick's grand totals to date from the past 10 years. These numbers reflect how dedicated and passionate our students and staff are to giving back. Because of these positive experiences, our students love to create new projects anytime people are in need. As you can see, not only do we love what we do, but we enjoy seeing students, staff, and the community work together for the good of a cause. As we are wrapping up the current school year and finishing off strong, the plans are already rolling forward for 2019-2020, and we're meeting students currently to find out what's their place in our school or to find their niche. So we want to thank you for your time tonight, and also we're happy to answer any questions you may have. So thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Any questions? With that, we're going to move on to the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the regular meeting minutes of the March 21st, 2019 meeting, approval of the closed session meeting minutes of March 21st, 2019, approval of the payroll of April 5th, 2019, and April 18th, 2019, out-of-state travel, IHSA membership renewal. Would anyone like any of these items pulled individually for discussion? With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
So second.
A motion, I have a second. Any discussion?
The vote is open.
Did it pop up?
I can call
First meeting.
this. Mr. Wilks?
Yeah, I got mine back. Yeah, we're sitting next to Linda.
Hey, this is the worst thing I've
You gotta know where to sit.
That's okay.
You have power.
How will you vote? I can just move on.
Say aye.
Very good. Mr. Wilks says aye. The motion passes.
Excellent. Action items. First thing we have is the presentation of invoices for March 22nd, 2019 through April 25th, 2019.
Motion to approve the invoices in the amount of $1,802,274.38 dated April 25th, 2019.
Thank you, Chris. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Doesn't vote.
The vote is open.
Next will be Linda. She'll get it done right away.
Aye.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
We have the treasurer's report for 2019.
Thank you. In your package tonight, the treasurer's reports for March. We recognized revenue of $2,275,000, while we had expenditures of $7,110,000. Our actual cash balance at the end of the month was $3.5 million, which included tax anticipation warrants. At this time of year, we are actually a negative fund balance year to date. We're negative $7.3 million. As far as cash flows go, cash flows were very strong this month. Actual revenue was greater than anticipated, and expenditures were below anticipated on the cash flow, so we ended up a positive. Part of that was due, we did get $74,000 early from the state as part of the mandatory categorical payments. I will report, and it'll be in the next month's report, we did get the next payment we were expecting. We were expecting a payment in April, and one did come in. So that was good news. So year to date, on operating funds, as far as cash goes, we're $5.4 million better than in the prior year. And you know, we are spending down the capital projects, so that's actually, non-operating is actually $3.4 million less. So overall, we're just over $2 million in the cash position better than this time last year. Revenue is trending great, right in where we expected. With the other, we just now are expecting just one final payment from the state. There will still be one short for the year, but that'll be 4 payments for the year. We're expecting them to make that. And expenditures are trending good, with the exception of the IMRF Fund 50. Couple of things going on. It's only our 3rd month of the lower rate, so we think that it's going to kind of trend in. The rate is down, but we do have more people. You know, we used to pay a few people through accounts payable, and through our IRS audit, we discontinued that. So when more people are on payroll, even though they're reimbursing, that's coming in on the revenue side. We're a little higher on the expenditures at FICA. That's the other place we're running a little ahead. So overall, Fund 50 is running very tight. We could be slightly over. We don't know. We'll monitor that and report back. But that's the treasurer's report.
So the state had 4 MCATs they've made?
We've had 4 total 3 so far for the year. We're expecting 1 more before the end of the year, so we will have had 4 throughout the year.
Okay. And how many were we expecting?
We were expecting to get 4, 1 from the prior year and 3 from the current.
So we still have 1 in arrears.
Right, so at the end, if that falls like we think, we'll still have 1 that they owe us, which we should collect in FY20.
Okay.
Someday they may get back on schedule.
So I remember from last, or it might have been January, we had paid all the tuition into District 843. My question is on the transportation side. What is the purchase services for District 843? It's at 120% of what we budgeted.
Yeah, so that is our payments to them for transporting our special education students. So
is that also paid through the?
We're paid, yep, we're paid out. And there'll be a true up. You know, we paid our, if you will, we paid our payments, but then there'll be a true up, but that won't happen until next fiscal year.
I'd entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report for March 2019.
So moved.
Motion and a second. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Barring none, please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Thank you. Student activities report for March 2019. Can I get a motion to approve the student activities report for March 2019?
So moved.
Have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Barring none, the vote is open.
The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Personnel report. Schiffbauer.
All right, good evening. Under employment, we have Henry DeBoer, bus driver, Amy Bernhardt, teacher, Justin Farmer, teacher, Dana Kellerman, teacher, Jake May, teacher, Colleen McBrady, teacher, Josh Napier, teacher, Sabrina Smoot, teacher, Jessica Stroner, teacher, Frank Toland, teacher, Kendall Villa, teacher, Matt Waters, teacher, Andrew Zorales, teacher, Beverly Venezio, food service, and Elizabeth Wood, paraprofessional. I ask the board to approve the employment report as presented.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve the employment report.
So moved.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
A motion is second. Any discussion?
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Under resignations, we have Jill Carlson, speech pathologist, and Natalie Johnson, bus driver, Catherine Napoli, food service, Kelly Sabo, coordinator of special services, Sarah Sabo, family consumer science teacher, Mary Shuri, bus driver, Brian Willis, Black Student Union sponsor, and Stacy Wright, paraprofessional, as the board. Then on leaves, we have Ashley Schlifka, math teacher, is asking to take a leave for the 2019-2020 school year. I ask the board to approve these leaves and resignations as presented.
Do I have a motion to approve the resignations and leaves?
So moved.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Barring none,
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
that's well. Textbook adoption. Entertain a motion to approve the textbooks as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
A motion, I have a second. Discussion.
These are the four that were presented at the board meeting last month. They've been on display for the 30 days. Be AP Calculus, ABBC, AP US Government and Politics, English 2 Honors, and Environmental Chemistry. Dr. Fury has done a very nice job in setting schedules for our textbooks here over the next 5 years, so that we stay within budget, but also we stay on target and on track. AP books must be renewed to continue that cycle, and then the environmental chemistry is a new course for us, so we ask for approval of these tonight.
As we look to move to one-to-one, do any of these books have digital components?
All of them.
All
All of them, and textbook companies are very savvy. They've set the pricing of the digital components the same as if you were purchasing. The license is the same as the book, so we're able to do both.
And you don't have to pay for the paper that way. They stay at the same price.
Correct.
The margins are going up.
Yes.
Good for them. Did you guys study all those textbooks? You guys read them all, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we're exempt from taking and
The AP
having to do,
calculus
yeah,
piece.
AP
Covered
calculus.
it. You guys read the calculus books? You guys, yes? Okay.
All over.
Excellent. Any further discussion?
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Thank you. Next, facility rental rate update. Do I have a motion to approve the facility rates rental schedule, fee schedule as presented?
So moved.
Have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
A motion and a second, discussion.
Brad, why don't you give us an overview, because I know you've been the one working with this, and I know
Yes.
you've worked with the different outside organizations as well.
Well, first I'd like to say I view myself as very approachable, so I'm disappointed to hear that someone's been trying to get hold of me and has not been able to. So I'll ask my assistant about that. However, you know, the first time the board asked us to look at this policy, I'll be the first to admit that we went through and we tried to just bring some standardization, if you will, to our rental rates. And I didn't collect a lot of feedback. Well, no more than we got it passed, and I got some feedback from the aquatics groups, I guess I'd say, you know, sharks and gators. And I met with them willingly, and I mostly met with the gators. So, you know, but I've met with anybody that's called my office. But the pools are very expensive for us to run and maintain. Well, we had set the pool rental rates based off of the field house, which isn't really an apples to apples comparison because the pools are more expensive to run than the field house. But we felt it was you know, that's how we came up with it. Well, after meeting with the gators, I didn't have anyone else that I met with, and we also met with the 3 aquatic directors. We went through and we tried to work through what we felt would be fair. Yes, it is an increase. And so if, you know, one of the things is we didn't really have a lot of standardization in our charging too. That's the other thing that's been a little difficult. But under the old rates, gators, sharks, and law, I forget what that stands for, they would pay $30 an hour for like a practice, $40 an hour for a large competitive meet for full time, $28 for supervisors, and $10 for guards. Well, so we're trying to, you know, strike a fair balance here. You know, we realize on the dual meets and the competitive meets, they're weekends, it's more cost to us because we're paying overtime. So that's why the increased cost for the supervisors. And, you know, as far as the rates, you know, the $40 an hour, that is what they were paying on when they had large competitive meets, but they were paying $30 an hour during, like you will, practice time. So the person that spoke is correct. When you're going from $30 to $40, that's a 30% increase. But pools are very expensive for us to operate. When basically the agreement we had when this was adopted, they came to me, well, I shouldn't say they, mainly, it was mainly the gators, and said, you know, look, we can't absorb this kind of an increase, you know, can we postpone this, can we talk about it? I said, yeah, okay, so we postponed their increase. So we postponed it now for, well, since June, so not quite a year, but, you know, since June. And the understanding was, as we come back, we talked about the rates, and the thing was, always seemed to be advance notice, giving them advance notice. So they've had notice that a rate increase was coming. She's right, you know, I was unaware that they were asking for it. I was aware yesterday that somebody had called wanting the rates, and so we said, well, I have posted on board docs. I had sent the rates to the Gators about maybe two weeks ago. It's probably my error that I didn't seek out and try to get them to all the different organizations, but that's the one I'd had the most communication with. With all that being said, this is a tough, you know, we want to support these organizations. They provide a lot of great services for our youth that are coming up, that are going to be on our swim teams or are on our swim teams, but at the same time, pools are very expensive for us to operate. So I'm fine to collect more data if you would like, or to do what you'd like.
Question, you said that this was in discussion the last time it was tabled, or they asked for delay last June.
Right, so after the rates went into effect last June of 2018, you know, of course, they got their first bills, and then I got a lot of feedback. And so that they came and met with me, I should say they, mainly the Gators came, we met, we talked about it, we had some other feedback, and the thing was is if they could just postpone the rate increase. So we agreed the rate would not increase until April, which was April of 2019, which was their new swim season. So that's supposed to give them plenty of time to notify their parents, let their parents know that, hey, costs are going up, so fees are gonna go up, whatever. Well, then between that point and April, then they recontacted me and said, hey, this is still too much, can we talk about it? And so that's what the proposal here is, reduce them from where we were, and we split them out between practice, meets, and competitive meets.
So, just so I'm following, these rates that are on this schedule are less than the increase that was sent out last June?
Yes, I know that is for the practices. I can pull up last year's. I'm pretty sure they're lower all the way around, and I apologize not knowing that off the top of my head.
These rates aren't more than what was on this?
No, they're, yeah.
Okay.
And the yellow signifies that there is a change.
Right, everywhere on this document, and we should have apologized, could have posted the prior document too, but everywhere there is a change is where we're recommending a change. Some of them are just like for food service. The rates are still, it's just, we had them by day, and they came back to us that, we don't rent out by the day, we rent by the hour. People want to get in, use the cafeteria, get out, they don't want to rent it for a whole day. So we needed to make those adjustments. And then in other places, we adjusted down the actual like maintenance. We wanted to make sure we were our actual costs, but what happened is during a Monday through Friday, if someone came in during that school time, we're not on overtime, so why were we charging more? And so, okay, that makes sense. So we lowered that rate, but then we went ahead and had outside of the where we'd be in overtime versus double time. And so we went ahead and made those adjustments.
Scott, do you know the Sharks and the Gators, are those primarily district kids that are in those two
Yes,
organizations?
majority.
Not
are,
necessarily,
and then,
but within
and then
the
the LIC is the lacrosse, the area lacrosse. So yeah, those three organizations are our primary feeders.
When was the last time these organizations had a rate increase, Brad, do you know?
That I'd have to research.
This is a cost covering measure and not a revenue measure.
Certainly.
Particularly for all of our in-district groups, it is more of a cost covering measure.
Are there any other aquatic groups besides the Gators and Sharks that use the facilities?
Well, yes, we have, the Park District and the special, Lincoln Way Special Rec Association uses it also.
What category do the Gators and the Sharks fall into?
Category 3.
What is the total hours, like, over the course of the billing periods that we're talking, you were looking at hourly, it's $10 here, $5 here, but how many hours are we?
I would have to get that from them, but they do use it quite a bit. So $10 an hour, I don't know how, I'd have to get that from them. I have invited them to bring their financials and come on in and sit down and let's discuss how much this is impacting. I don't know how this fits in their budget. I don't know if this is like 90% of their budget or if this is like 10% of their budget. I don't know that answer. I've just been told that it's an impact to their budget, so that's why we reworked it. I'll be more than glad to do more research. Honestly, I thought I had covered my bases, if you will. Thought I had done enough communication. Guess I didn't with the record communication.
So,
Can I ask a real quick question though, Rich? What organization were you representing?
Yes, I'm actually with the Sharks.
Okay.
And I would like to respond.
Well, no, I just wanted to, because this really isn't a dialogue. I wanted to make sure that we understood.
Yeah, we're with the Sharks. And
Okay.
we've navigated through our aquatics director.
Okay.
So that's been our point of contact,
Very
just
good.
for clarification.
Very good, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So were they not getting charged before?
Yes. They were
So
being
there
charged.
yeah.
$30 an hour for practice and $40 an hour for large meets. And then, $15 for supervisors and, oh, I'm sorry, $28 for supervisors and $10 an hour for guards, I believe.
And a lot of the difference in charging would come down to supervisors and then who's the supervisor on during that time, whether they were supervisor and or a coach for Sharks or Gators. So we had a lot of interplay for several years to make sure we had, because the rules are different. We have to have a certified person there on deck, and they have to be a Lincoln Way employee so that we have that coverage on the insurance.
I'm gonna ask one.
Yes, I double checked. It was $28 an hour for the supervisors in the prior time. I don't know if we ever charged them for overtime or not. I don't have that date in front of me.
So that was prior to last June.
Prior to last June, yeah, $30 an hour for regular practices and dual meets, $40 an hour for large meets, and $28 for supervisor. So the supervisor didn't change. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
My naive question is this: if the pools are there, right? There's water in the pools, they're being treated. What's the incremental expense if the pool is actually used?
Well, there is an incremental cost, you're right. Whether, there's a fixed cost whether the pool's sitting idle or used.
Right.
But as the pools are used, it does increase our chemicals and other things that need to be used. We monitor those on a daily basis. So if the pool is being used, it will take more chemicals. And, you know, a little more heat, if you will, the water movement, et cetera. But, you know, there is pretty much a lot of fixed costs just for the sitting there idling.
I'll put out a suggestion, just for the group to discuss. I think that, you know, Brad, you made a couple offers to sit down with these organizations and maybe help, you know, have a true dialogue with them about their expenses and how these changes impact their overall costs. I would suggest that, you know, we could approve the rest of the fee schedule, less the aquatic portions, and then next month have you bring back the aquatic portions and have the dialogue with the Sharks and the Gators in that period of time. And then if nothing changes, nothing changes. I understand that, but maybe there can be some movement, a rounding of a corner or sharpening of an edge that would then find us to a point there, because, you know, at the end of the day, it is people's pools.
Right.
Probably not appropriate English, but, and,
Not English.
okay, thank you, if you're a lawyer, so, but anyway, and just give them the opportunity to have that voice during that 30-day period to see if there's something.
I'm more than willing to do that.
So
I would just say we could just bring the whole thing
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
There's no
that
need
would
to-
be my
This
recommendation.
will wait till next month.
Okay.
So. with
So
that-
do we need to withdraw
Yes,
that
you have a
motion?
question.
Well,
Does not vote
it did just, you have a motion,
You
second.
just table.
Table.
But this is just a clarification and actually doesn't have much to do with the aquatics. So category 2, which is a fundraiser for, basically it seems like to me, District 210 approved school activities or organizations, etc. Why are they being charged for competitions?
Competitions there would be a charge because with competitions, we'd have to have additional GCA and there would be a cost. And we have to offset some of that expense. Specific examples, we're running a Greco-Roman wrestling match or meet here in the coming weeks at Lincoln Way Central. There's additional cost in terms of staff and overtime on the weekend to cover that. So we try and offset some of that revenue. We've done so for other outside tournaments that we run, so that would be the logic behind it. Because there is a cost associated with some of those additional opportunities.
Yeah,
So that's our wrestling team?
Well, our kids aren't wrestling. We're hosting a tournament for other people to come here and wrestle.
I understand
and then
that,
some
but
of those proceeds are going back to our wrestling program.
Oh, so if they're sponsoring it, but it's not?
Correct. It's not
Okay.
our kids competing.
Okay.
I
okay.
wanted to just add, the reason why is within all of our basic rental rates, that's how we cover our custodial, cleanup, that kind of stuff. So when they have these large events that are being sponsored by our kids for a fundraiser, we bring all these people in, then we've got to clean up and everything afterwards.
That makes sense.
Brad, if you could, when we bring this back next month, could you maybe put what the costs currently are, and we can see what the increase is a little easier?
Yes.
That was kind of my question too, so I know Scott, you said this is non-revenue. But are we charging, you know, I know we're looking to soften this, but we are covering, or are we still, you know, I mean, if we talked about it last June, I knew it was coming, their year end came and went. I've been involved in a lot of youth programs, and obviously, you gotta constantly be looking at that. I know we're calling it a pool rental fee, but obviously, like we said, the water is there. Are we just calling it that to make it simple, or, you know, would it be better if we have all, you know, had a breakout of all the support staff so that it's not just like we're renting water, it's because you're renting water, we have to do this, or this additional personnel, or whatever the, you know, are there other costs that we're just saying, that we're covering by saying it's the rental of the pool,
Right.
but it's not necessarily the pool that we're really talking about?
Yeah, it's a good point. So, Brad, we need to attach the rental agreements so that the board can see those as well. That's a really good, that's a good point. We have different rental agreements for different types of organizations.
Correct. And then I would just say, I mean, it only costs $5 an hour for the lights. Is that covering our costs?
That's
for,
kind of
like,
what I'm
the football
saying.
field? And that seems.
No, it's likely not.
But it doesn't cost us anything for the field, but we're, you know, we're getting X for the field, but it's only, we're saying 5 for the lights, but in reality, we're paying all of it for the lights, because the
Right.
field's already sitting there.
Could be shortening the life.
Huh?
Could shorten the life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and-
Right, but,
Yeah, we'll do some revision and bring this back next month. Thank you for the discussion.
Great talk. Moving on, the multi-purpose bond paper bid. I get a motion to approve multi-purpose bond paper bid as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion.
The only thing I would like to add is this is the second year that we'll be taking the paper in on an as-needed basis. We began that last year as we had more paper on hand than we needed. We were able to reduce all the paper on hand, and now we're just ordering as needed. We kind of went into it a little blind last year. I wasn't exactly sure. I knew we didn't need, you know, several semi-loads, but I wasn't sure what the differential would be in the big lump sum order versus on demand. So we bid it both ways. So now we have hard evidence of what it does cost. I would be to say I'm usually the one here recommending cost savings ideas. So it's a little against my grain to actually recommending spending a little more. However, it's not free for us to bring in those, you know, 4 semi-loads of paper, jam it all down into wherever it's going to fit, and we gotta monitor it, we have to move it around, if it takes all the staff time. And worst off, it's really hard to document this, but it ends up in a lot of teacher frustration when the copy machine is jamming because we pulled paper out from wherever. So this way, we're bringing in the paper monthly, it's stored in good quality space, controlled space, and just better, we find it works a lot better.
Well, they're the least expensive and they're our vendor now, so.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Where were we storing it before?
All, well,
Any nook and cranny.
a lot of it was in the basement, well, that'd be classified as basement. A lot of it was in the corridors, the underground corridors at north. We also added the storage, outside storage facility at west. And then each other building just has, typically in the basements and other places, that is being stored. Most of it's non-air conditioned or, you know, moisture controlled. which, bring in paper and take it nice and dry. It starts like a big sponge.
So it was impacting the quality of the paper?
Definitely quality paper.
Was there, how much loss was there at the end of the year? Like, how many cases left?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that.
What's the lifespan of the paper actually?
Oh, I think paper can last a long time if stored correctly. It's
Right.
just.
The way we were storing it, let me ask you that
Oh,
way.
I am not a, I couldn't say. But the other cost is just moving it and getting it into the different places, so this is definitely cuts down on staff time and makes it a lot easier and makes copiers run a lot smoother.
Any further discussion? Barring none, please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
All right, next up, everybody's favorite, solid waste removal and recycling. Your motion to approve the 3-year solid waste removal and recycling contract with New Way as for Lincoln Way East, North, and Republic for Lincoln Way Central, Lincoln Way West, as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Do we know why there was a different, a little bit, why one was a little better at Central and versus East?
Yeah, that was the only thing that I could think of was why the different vendors bounce between the different schools, transportation.
Location of their facility.
Okay, so it is transportation.
So location of their facility?
Yes.
So Republic is in New Lenox?
Joliet.
Joliet. And where's New Way out of?
Homewood.
That's the answer.
Any further discussion? Barring none, I'd like to open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Excellent. Moving on, desktop computer purchase. Need a motion to approve the purchase of 90 desktop computers to begin the replacement throughout the district as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion.
I have a question. Not trying to sound funny, but why are we buying desktops?
So a lot of our desktops that we're looking to replace will be in the office spaces, so our secretaries and support personnel that use them on a regular basis at their desks. So we'll be looking to replace those machines. So those are the ones that are aging the most.
So in the rationale, it says, should the district decide not to move to a one-to-one environment, a replacement plan for the remaining desktop computers will be implemented starting with the 2019-2020 school year. So if we do decide to move forward with one-to-one, does that mean you wouldn't buy any more desktops?
No, we're gonna, I apologize for the unclarity of that. What that means is that if we decide not to go one-to-one, we're also gonna have to start replacing all the desktops, including the computer labs. So that would have to be part of the computer lab replacement process that we would have to continue to develop. So that's an additional 500 machines that we would have to replace throughout the district. So if we go one-to-one, we will not, there's not a plan to replace those desktops. We will have to replace the 200 that are sitting in the office spaces.
So that just means no more computer labs?
That's
like
correct.
When you go to one-to-one? And we still think we need desktop computers for, you wouldn't want laptops that are mobility for the staff?
I'm a little bit confused as
Yeah.
to why, and you specifically said because they're in an office environment, they need a desktop.
So our support staff, our secretarial
What
staff,
you're talking about, but why do they need that?
why do they need a desktop? For their day-to-day operations.
But versus a laptop, or some other?
Cost savings as compared to different types of laptops, functionality, and the capability of being able to do their day-to-day operations on a decent laptop and screen, and the ability to have dual monitors. I had the opportunity to also do some research with regards to docking stations and the laptops that you have in front of you. The docking stations that work with the machines that are there, and also to be able to have dual monitors, which is what most of our secretaries have for ease of doing their job on a daily basis. They're looking at this screen for Skyward, and then they're looking at this screen for manipulating their data or pulling all their data together, or they have two Skyward screens open at the same time. The cost savings is actually a little bit better for us if we purchase a desktop. A desktop at $629 per device is compared to a laptop computer, which I would have to spend just a little bit more to get a little more memory on the machines. So the desktops or the laptops such as those are about $400 plus the $275 that I would have to get for the appropriate docking station that would allow us to have dual monitor capability.
So you're not running like a virtual?
We are not running virtual anything. We ran virtual machines about 10 years ago. And when we were doing that, our machines were probably flaking out every other day, every other week. We had a lot of difficulty maintaining those machines in the environment that we've had. We've been very fortunate with our desktop machines, working with the vendor that we have now for the last 7 years. These machines have been rock solid devices in our environment. They're holding up to the demands of both our staff and our students that are touching them on a daily basis.
Is ATS our current vendor?
It is.
And are these apple-to-apple comparisons? I mean, obviously CDW is completely out of the mix, but Connection and ATS, I'm talking about $11 or $12 difference per.
We asked for the exact same specs when we put these out to these three companies to get price.
Is the 90 a wholesale change of all office staff will?
No, it's just, what it was is throughout this year, because of some of the cost saving measures that we put in place, we've been able to make some room in our budget to be able to purchase about $55,000, $60,000 worth of desktop computers.
So does that mean these 90 that you'll be replacing are obsolete?
They are on the verge of being retired, correct.
These are the 12s?
Yes, these are from 2012.
Any further discussion? All right, have a motion and a second. Could you open the vote, please?
Vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on. Amendment of the 2018-19 school calendar.
Well, this is a formality. Typically, when we have snow days, we wait until April. Maybe I need to start waiting until May. But we wait until we get through the winter weather to establish the new calendar dates, and then we will have, tomorrow, if approved, we will submit this then to the Regional Office of Education for our minute calendars. So we would just propose that we move back the 3 days. So final exams will now be held on May 24th, 28th, and 29th. And teacher lectures will be on May 30th. So I ask the board to approve the included calendar as presented.
Excellent. Can I get a motion to approve the calendar as presented?
So moved.
Have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The vote is open. Wow, okay, well, let me call the vote. Mr. Lucetti?
Aye.
Mr. Janik?
Aye.
Mr. Costick?
Aye.
Mr. Kirking?
Aye.
Mr. Wilks?
Aye.
Mr. Lucini?
Aye.
The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Fantastic. Board of Education calendar for 2019 and 2020.
One of the regulations is that the board select a proposed education meeting schedule for the 19-20 school year. We can amend that schedule, change it as needed, but for this evening, we at least need to have something put in place. And so I have presented some options to the board. The only date that came back as an area of conflict would be the August 8th date. In working with Brad and Kelly through our financial matters, August 15th would still be fine. That would be, we would use August 15th as an opportunity to close out the fiscal year, and then August 29th would be our budgeting meeting as we've discussed. So it's up to the board in terms of August 8th or August 15th. I did have 2 members reach out to me indicating that August 8th would be a problem.
Would or would not?
Would be, August 8th would be a problem.
Okay. Anyone sitting here have a problem with the August 15th date for the first meeting? All good. All right. With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the calendar as presented, with the first meeting being August 15th, 2019.
So moved.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
Motion to second. Any further discussion? Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous, the motion passes.
Excellent. Moving on to informational items.
First item is proposed handbook changes, and really any of the changes are all in response to District 210 recommendations that the board had already approved. So changing quarters to semesters, changing the 5 absences per quarter to 9 per semester. I would just ask the board to review the highlighted sections, and then if anyone has any questions prior to the next meeting, please get those to me. We'll be looking for approval of the revisions at the May meeting.
Excellent. Report of the Special Education District 843 governing meeting held March 19th, 2019.
The minutes are included for your review. There was nothing out of the ordinary. Just so the board knows, the contracts for the social workers, psychologists, speech paths, and all teachers is up for review. I will be working with the director of 843 to negotiate those contracts in the upcoming months.
Excellent. Are there no FOIA requests this
There's no
month?
FOIA request in the month.
Fantastic. That's not here for District
Yeah, there's no
210.
report. Yeah, no report this evening.
Building and grounds.
Included for your review, if there are any questions, I'm sure Mr. Wilkie would be happy to entertain those.
Community relations.
Community relations report also included in your backup materials for your review.
Asset of the month.
Asset of the month for May, as soon as it loads, there it is. Positive identity. Kids feel that they have control over many things that happen to them at home. Express confidence in your children's abilities. Children who trust their own abilities have personal power. At school, emphasize each student's abilities to control his or her own behavior, and they get help for students who have difficulty doing this. And I think that's a strength of our district. Then the community recognize and affirm your people who demonstrate good judgment. That's that month for May.
Policies first reading.
Included in the policies, the first reading, there will be a new policy. If you take a look at the superintendent's notes, policy 4190, which will be a targeted school violence prevention program. That was new, passed in the legislature. So by the beginning of the school year, we will have to have a prevention program in place. It's something that I've already started to develop, and so we will approve the policy in June. I will have the administrative procedures ready for the board's review, and then we'll work with Will County as we move forward into the new school year. But that's an additional security measure. 4-170 is kind of a catch-all security. 4.170, 4.190 will be the new policy.
Legislative report.
Legislative report, once again, included in your backup materials. They're on break right now. When they get back, things will move pretty rapidly. I have talked to a number of legislators on the possibility of passing a budget. It's met with, I don't think it's going to be passed as easily as was originally thought. So we'll continue to monitor that. But right now, there are a number of items that are still up in the air for discussion. The biggest being the potential income tax reform, which will be a bargaining chip on both sides of the aisle right now.
District report.
Nothing additional to report this evening.
Any other district business?
None.
Any correspondence?
None this time.
Excellent. With that, I'd entertain a motion to move into closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees, collective negotiating, purchase or lease of real estate, establish sale or lease price of real estate, and student disciplinary cases.
So we'll move.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And there will likely be motion following closed session.